There's a new weapon in the game, and tenors are on whether it's good or not. Some say that it's a downgrade, but others say that it's completely amazing. So how do I find the new OPTICOR Vandal? Long story short, it's one big freaking fun gun. I'm with those players who find this new BFG variant amazing. For those who doesn't like this gun, well, let me share my experience, and my setup, for OPTICOR Vandal, to make it extremely fun to play with. If we compared the ordinary variant of the OPTICOR, and its Vandal variant, we can spot a huge difference on its charge rate, and we also can see some slight increase on critical, fire rate, magazine, reload speed, status chance and slash damage. However, the overall damage of the Vandal is lower than the original variant. That's why maybe some players don't like it, and they consider it as a downgrade. However, 60% lesser damage doesn't mean that it's bad. With the proper mod setup, the OPTICOR Vandal can hit like a truck. Hell, it can even melt high-level enemies with heavy armor faster than the ordinary OPTICOR. Now, let's talk about modding. For the OPTICOR Vandal, I honestly can say that there's no perfect build for it. This weapon is kind of versatile when it comes to modding compared to the original OPTICOR. It's because it has good amount of critical and status chance stats, that we can mod it towards hybrid crit and status combo, or we can also give it a viral and slash combination. In addition, modding OPTICOR Vandal can also depend on the faction you are facing, and lastly, it also depends on the frame you are using. Okay, let's head to the modding section of this video, and let me show you some possible builds that you can use on the OPTICOR Vandal. The first build I'm using on my OPTICOR Vandal is a mix of critical, 2 dual status mods, that form the desired element I need for a certain faction, and fire rate mod. Now, while acceleration is a personal preference, as I like my OPTICOR Vandal's charge rate to go even faster, but you can actually add a mod of your choice in here. Say, if you have the primed version of Shred, then you can add it on this slot. Or, if you want more critical chance, you can add Argon Scope in this slot if you have it. Anyway, you can land headshot quite easy with OPTICOR Vandal, because of its laser-like projectile. The second build is a combination of viral and hunter munitions. I know that this may sound weird for some, as this kind of setup favors those high-firing weapon like the Barza, but actually, OPTICOR Vandal does proc slash with hunter munitions quite a lot. This build is good for almost all enemies in the game, including those enemies with high armor values. Now, you might ask, why I choose 2 dual status mods, instead of putting 2 90% elemental mods on this build. The reason is, since OPTICOR Vandal has a much better fire rate than the original, and it has way better status chance also, I really think that it would be better to go with 2 dual status mods. In addition, it's much cheaper to build, compared to adding those 2 90% elemental mods, plus 2k plus additional damage doesn't benefit that much, compared to having an OPTICOR Vandal that has higher probability of proccing corrosive, slash, viral, or any status that is included on your mod setup. I really like the hunter munitions plus viral setup for the OPTICOR Vandal. The amount of bleed that it deals are quite satisfying to see. In addition, it's a pretty versatile mod setup, and you can use it against almost every enemies in the game. In fact, I really consider the setup really powerful. But, did you know, that we can even boost the damage potential of this new BFG? How? Simple. 1 is by using the right frame for the job, and 2, by adding some arcane enhancements that can boost both the damage and fire rate of the OPTICOR Vandal. Actually, arcanes are not really needed, and I know that some of you don't have them yet, as they are pretty rare and quite expensive. But, if you have them, then it would not hurt using it on your OPTICOR Vandal. In fact, it will make this weapon overly satisfying if you have them. The first arcane that is really good for OPTICOR Vandal is the Arcane Avenger. This arcane perfectly fits those tanky frames. Using the OPTICOR Vandal, the additional critical chance that it gives is quite huge, that you can even achieve red critical numbers, given that you have the right setup, plus a critical chance Riven mod. Another good arcane to use with OPTICOR Vandal is Arcane Acceleration. Plain and simple. It makes your OPTICOR Vandal fire a lot faster, like the Arcane Avenger. This arcane can be used to further boost OPTICOR Vandal, to the point that you can turn it to a machine gun, given you have the right setup and Riven mods also. And lastly, Arcane Rage. Some might missed it, but this arcane does proc on all primary weapons now. It does perfectly fit the OPTICOR Vandal, as headshots can be easily landed with the weapon, and you will be able to keep that sweet additional damage boost almost every time. Remember, like I've said earlier, these arcanes are not necessary for the OPTICOR Vandal. They are just plain enhancements that makes the weapon even better. Okay, now let's proceed to some frame synergy. All frames can use OPTICOR VANDAL, but there's just frames that make it a beast. Damage boosting frames like Chroma, Mirage, or even Rhino will always come to mind when it comes to synergy. Well, because they does boost the damage of a weapon. However, I prefer those frames that makes the weapon endgame worthy, those frames that can strip armor efficiently, the likes of Oberon and my main guy, Ash. These two frames actually makes good use of the violence / combination OPTICOR VANDAL, as once enemies have no armor, they really don't stand a chance against this combination. This synergy is really good, especially with Ash. In fact, long endurance runs on void survival is nothing with this synergy. You don't believe me? Then try it out for yourself. But before you do that, here's another fun synergy. Harrow plus the OPTICOR VANDAL is brutally gorgeous. Red critical numbers, additional decker on your BFG, and faster reload speed. I mean, what can you ask for in a synergy? It's a total fun package that everyone must try out. If you are curious on how to build Harrow for this synergy, then you can follow my mod setup, or just use it as a guide to make your very own build. So, this is my usual mod setup for Harrow, in team composition with OPTICOR VANDAL. I have the Lasting Covenant augment by the way, so I can maintain the red crit coming from his 4th ability. Now, you can actually tweak this build. Say, if you are going solo, then you can add the adaptation mod. Remember that this mod does work on shields also, and it serves as extra survivability for your Harrow. You will probably sacrifice primed flow in the process, but don't worry, as energy won't be a problem with this frame, especially if you can keep his thorable all the time. So that's it. I hope that I haven't missed anything, and added everything necessary to make your playtime with OPTICOR VANDAL worth it. Be sure to check out my next video, as I will be introducing a new meta in the game. Before you leave, please do give this video a thumbs up if you find it informative, and, for those who haven't joined our awesome community yet, then go ahead and be part of the squad, by simply clicking that big subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching. Squad leader signing off.